When we're talking about small farms, small scale farming, say a few acres, one important factor is tools. What tools do we use? Most of us that are trying to get into agriculture from a non-agricultural background or on a shoestring or what have you don't have a lot of money, which means we aren't going to be going out and buying tractors, skid steers, bush hogs, what have you. Sometimes we can afford those things, especially if you're the sort of person who likes to tinker and is good with mechanical things. You can buy used machinery and fix it yourself. Personally, I really enjoy using hand tools. High quality hand tools can accomplish a lot. And one of those tools that I use very often is a machete. This is a 28-inch Imakasa machete, and it is good for clearing brush, which I have some brush behind me, and in short order I'm going to demonstrate how I use this to clear paths through the brush. I'm not clearing large amounts of brush. Some people might consider it large amounts. I primarily use it to cut paths through, either for access or because I need to put a fence in. And that's what I need to do right behind me, is I need to get a path through there so I can put in a fence division for my sheep. So I'm going to use this machete to do that. So I use this for thinner material, briars, weeds, sometimes grass, because it is long and fairly thin. It is not very good for woody material. For that I use this, I believe, 18-inch marbles machete. It's a bolo style. It has a sharp back edge. You have to be careful getting out of the sheath. Just a very short, stiffer machete, and so it's a little bit better for your thicker woody material. You can cut, I've got Bradford pears that I'm taking down. The sheep like to eat the leaves, so I use this to cut those down. And then to sharpen my machetes, I use a little sharpening stone like this. Just a very basic, if you can get it to focus on that, just a cheap man-made stone. Use that. The key to sharpening machete with a stone is getting to where you can sight down the blade, and if you're looking down the edge, you can match up your stone, get the right angle on the stone. So it's actually fairly easy, especially with a machete. It doesn't need to be perfect, have the perfect edge, but you can use a stone by sighting down that way. You can get it sharp relatively quickly. I just sharpen this up so we can demonstrate what a sharp machete does to briars and brush like that. I really like the long machete like this in these brushy situations, particularly with briars, because keeps the thorns away from my knuckles. If you do this, and you're inevitably going to get a thorn in your knuckle, and it's not very fun. So I like the longer machete for that. The 28-inch, maybe not ideal for every situation. It's not an all-purpose machete. I really think if you're going to use machetes, you should have maybe a few different machetes. Yeah, have your all-purpose machete, but also have some specialty machetes for situations like this. So without further ado, I'm going to demonstrate how I cut through the brush behind me. one of the keys to being efficient in cutting brush is pretend you're sword fighting with the brush. You're parrying blows. You don't want that brush to get close to you, particularly if it has thorns. And that back and forth motion, kind of cutting your way in, moving from the stuff that's closest to you to the stuff furthest away, allows you to really effectively and quickly move through the brush. Let me bring you a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. Alternating hands so that I don't wear myself out. So there you have it. I'm a little bit out of breath, but that only took me about a little over 20 minutes to do. By the time I would fire up the tractor, make sure it has fuel, oil, hook up the bush hog, get it out here, open the gate and close the gate behind me, which I couldn't even do right now because my sheep are right in front of my gate. I wouldn't be able to get back here with the tractor. But even if I did, the only advantage the tractor has over this is I might be a little less tired. And honestly, I find this sort of work therapeutic, and I'd find it a lot more therapeutic if I didn't have to go to work yet today. As you can see, I'm wearing my work clothes. I'm a painter. But it just goes to show the power of a machete, a simple tool. It's just a piece of metal in a certain shape with an edge on it and a handle. That's all it is. And I've got a nice open path here. I typically don't have to do this any more than about once a month on my farm. I try to be strategic in where I use my energy. I have a limited amount of energy, so if I can use the sheep to open something up rather than using my machete, I will often do that. I often will send the sheep into an area before I use my machete, so that way I'm not expending any extra energy. They open things up a little bit for me. But as you can see, a simple tool is very effective, especially once you get the technique down. And again, I said back and forth, like you're sword fighting with it. Be careful not to hit the middle of a bramble, because if you hit the middle of that stem, oftentimes the top end will whip back and hit you. I went the whole way through here because I've learned the correct technique. I did not get hit by a single thorn. Technique is very, very important. And if you learn how to use these tools, take the time to put in the hours to learn them. They can be very effective, very fast, and they're so inexpensive. A machete like this costs very, very little. It doesn't take much to buy one or two, stick them in the back of your truck or your car, and just keep them with you for when you need them. So stick with us here on the channel. I hope to explore other tools like this that are very simple, very inexpensive, but if you buy good quality tools like this, they can be very effective in moving your farm forward without very much investment. Thanks for watching.